Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Friday. This week we're talking about social media profiles. A lot of marketers, a lot of people in the SEO field know and realize that social media profiles can be valuable for their marketing efforts on the web, but they don't know exactly how to use them, where to use them, and that's what I want to try and help you with today. So what we've got are 5 great ideas around how to leverage your social profiles to help with SEO, and then some specific tactics and recommendations on each one that I think even some of the advanced folks will find pretty valuable. So let's start here with direct links. You can see that basically I can take my profile on a LinkedIn, a Twitter, a Facebook, a MySpace, a Dig, a Reddit, a Hacker News, right? There's tons of these, hundreds of these. In fact, I'll link you over. We've got sort of a list going on SEO Moz somewhere. And you can take these, create profiles on here, and these profile pages oftentimes will have a followed link, sometimes we'll have a no followed link, but even that's okay, and point that link over to your website, right? So essentially, mysite.com is now getting some credit, and this pen is getting thrown in the trash. Oh, I missed. Sadly missed. When you do this, you do a couple of things. Number one is when they're followed links, obviously you're getting direct link credit. When they're no followed links, sometimes people are picking these up and scraping them and you get credit from elsewhere. And sometimes you're just seeing the fact that, oh, someone finds you on those places, right? You've commented somewhere, they're checking out your profile, and they can follow that link over to your website. So having these profiles exist and having the links point back to the right kinds of places on your website, critically important, very valuable. Number 2, SERPs domination. Now, when you're doing SERPs domination, right, what you're essentially trying to achieve is to fill up the top results with results that are, let's say, positive, or at least that you control what goes on into those results. And places like twitter.com and LinkedIn and Facebook and even places that are a little more random in the social media sphere, like a DeviantArt or a drawer.com, those types of places will all help you to potentially fill up these results. There's a few critical things that you're going to need to do if you want to get these ranking well, though. You can't just create them. Tons and tons of people just create them. Lots of spammers just create them. You need to fill up the profile with good information. And you also need to participate relatively heavily in the site, at least initially, right? So what you want to get going is, if this is LinkedIn, you want to participate in LinkedIn Q&A. You want to actually import your email address book so that you form all those connections. If this is Twitter, you want to start following people and topics. You want to start getting listed into the Twitter lists. You want to start having people following you and tweet at you. If this is Facebook, you're going to need those same sorts of connections. So whatever the community is, you need to build up a robust profile with actual content, right? Fill out all the minimum requirements and maybe even go overboard and start adding lots of content yourself to your profile. And you want to contribute heavily so that this gets indexed by the search engines, it becomes popular on the social site, and it gets you into the SERPs. It's also very valuable to link to these, and this is one of my sort of pro expert tips. What I personally love to do is everywhere I speak, everywhere I'm asked to give a talk, everywhere that features a quote from me or features my profile, you know, for a webinar or something like this, I always ask them to use the same biography. And that bio quote includes, you know, it'll say Rand Fishkin is, you know, the CEO and co-founder of SEO Moz. That links to our website. And he wrote The Art of SEO, and that'll link to the O'Reilly site. And then, you know, you can follow him on Twitter at Randfish, and that'll link back to this Twitter profile site. Every time I give a speech, I give a webinar, I participate in something offline, those links add up and help to make my profile rank better. It's a great, great way to go in terms of building links to those individual profiles. So really smart way to leverage sort of offline and online marketing together. Number 3, so brand awareness. On a lot of these sites, when you're participating, when you're doing good things to get those direct links and doing good things for the SERPs domination, you're also getting a lot of brand awareness. And this is really important from the perspective of you don't want to contribute to social media sites, particularly if you're a brand representative, a representative of your company, or a representative of your personal brand, in a way that would be contrary to how you'd like your brand to be perceived. I know this is more sort of marketing communication discussion, a little bit less SEO, but it's critical for SEO as well, because people who find a divergence between who you are on Twitter and Facebook versus who you are on your blog are going to be put off a little bit, right? There's that emotional disconnect that happens when you see that a brand or a person isn't being authentic to itself. And that's why it's critical to maintain those. The other thing is you do want to make sure that you're leveraging these in smart ways. So if you have a Facebook profile that you're trying to build up, you're definitely going to want to link to it from your own website, right? I want this site over here pointing to Facebook and referencing it and making this sort of a conversion-focused action that will drive people to participate. Remember that you can get network effects out of these. So when you're updating your statuses, when you're providing information on these, you want those to be followed by people, but you want to make sure that they're the kinds of things that people want to see, that they want to share. So you can't just be adding junk content. It has to be updates not only that are sort of interesting and valuable, but updates that will make other people look good when they share them, right? We've talked about this principle a few times at SEO Moz, but the idea in the social media world is even bigger. When you look at what gets retweeted, what gets reshared on Facebook, what gets reblogged on a platform like Tumblr, it's the stuff that makes the person who's sharing it look good, right? So when I tweet out something about SEO, if it's just self-promotional, not a lot of folks are going to tweet that. But if I tweet out something that's interesting research about the field, a lot of other SEOs are going to tweet that because it's going to make them look good to their followers. That's what you're trying to achieve. Number 4, drive traffic and second order links, right? So with a lot of these social pages, you have the opportunity when you produce content on them, right? When I tweet, when I do a Facebook status update, when I blog on Tumblr, when I contribute a LinkedIn status update, even when I contribute a post on a social news site like a Reddit or a Hacker News or a Dig or a Delicious or something like that, right? To potentially promote a link. Those links will drive direct traffic, usually in proportion to the number of people that are following me. But there's lots of other principles at work here too, which is why I recommend you check out something like The Science of Retweets by Dan Zarella over at HubSpot. Right? It'll tell you things like there's certain times of day that are more optimal. There's certain words that are more optimal and less optimal to use. There's certain phrasing and formatting. In particular, this pro tip for Twitter stuff. Make sure that you don't start the tweet with the link. Start the tweet with some copy. And you actually want to make sure that you have some extra content at the end of it. And potentially one of the things that we've seen is that having either a hyphen or a colon before the link, announcing it, is really good. And that having hashtags, if you put a hashtag here right after the link, it'll sometimes make the link stand out less. And so the optimal way to go is text, introducing the link, some additional text, and then if you want a hashtag or a reference or a via or those kinds of things. Remember that if you do a direct retweet, it won't show as coming from you. So if you can make those tweets unique when you're sharing a URL, you're likely to get paid more attention as well. And the great part about this is you don't just drive traffic with these, you also drive these sort of second order effects. So I'll show you an example, right? My friend Kang here from up above has found this link, right? I've tweeted it out. Then he goes to mysite.com, right? He visits whatever page I've tweeted there. And then he thinks, oh, well, that's actually pretty interesting. And so Kang's blog now links directly to it. This is why it's so important to be building that type of content that's share-worthy that we talked about a second ago, and to be tweeting and sharing and linking to and Facebook status updating and LinkedIn status updating with those types of things, because they're the kinds of things that'll drive those second-order effect of links, and that'll help you do SEO in the long run. All right, final one here. So number 5 is that social media profiles can be a source of content for your site, both direct and inspirational. This means that social profiles can help you build the content that you need to have on your site in order to perform well in the engines, in order to target the long tail in a lot of cases. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and even to do some exciting link-based stuff. So one of the tactics that I really like, this is a specific one, I'll talk about a couple, is to use YouTube. So YouTube, sometimes there'll be very popular videos, and when they're reference videos or they're longer videos or they have sort of tougher to understand content or the kind of content where someone might actually want to parse it in text form, you can personally transcribe, add some value, right? Break out the things that are important, bold them, highlight some quotes, that kind of thing, and build essentially your own version of that video. You can embed the video from YouTube on your site, have a commentary and transcript, do an SEO-friendly title, and now you've created great content leveraging someone else's YouTube video. And this kind of thing is just a phenomenal way to build content in a scalable way. And you know that this is interesting stuff. You know this stuff people care about because it has lots of views. It's become popular. Lots of people are tweeting it and sharing it. And so you can follow up and capitalize on that. You can do this as well with things like Twitter, right? So if people are tweeting links or tweeting a conversation back and forth, you'll see TechCrunch do this all the time, where they'll take an interesting conversation, or MediaGazer, those kinds of sites, they'll take an interesting conversation back and forth and they'll republish it with sort of screenshots of the tweets back and forth between people, and they'll do a little bit of analysis, and that'll become a blog post, a permanent piece of content that other people will reference and link to and comment on and add content to, and that means you can potentially earn rankings and traffic for those in the engines, as opposed to tweets which dissolve, right? I really liked a quote that was tweeted today that was from Brett Tabke, and he said that the instant a blog post is created, that content starts living forever and producing SEO forever. And the instant a tweet is created, it starts dying, right? Because it starts going away, it becomes temporal, it fades in the background. You can also use this for more direct kinds of content, right, generation, which is to say, particularly on sites like Twitter, which essentially are very temporal in nature, as we've discussed. You can take this content that you produce, right? I tweet a few times a day. Some of them are very interesting links, some of them are interesting content, and I can reproduce them in sort of a daily digest on my site, a blog post if I like, an archiving system. That content is priceless, right? I've carefully crafted those 140 words, but what are they doing for my SEO? Nothing. And that's why it's so valuable to potentially re-leverage the content that you're creating in a walled garden environment like Facebook, something like LinkedIn, particularly something like Twitter that's temporal, into this format on your own site and have the opportunity to rank for it. All right, everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Whiteboard Friday. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care.